For this video, I was originally going to do a cheeky little what makes a hero great companion to my other video on villains. But after doing a little background work, I realized that heroes are capable of acting in much more diverse roles than villains. So instead of plan A, we're going with plan number 2 and relegating what makes a hero great to the potatoes of this video. For the meat, we're going to explore the different types of heroes and rank them based on how much I like them. Now keep in mind that this is my opinion. However, if you do happen to disagree with me, you're wrong. Oh, and quick note. When I use the term hero in this video, I'm using it in the narrative sense, not the moral sense. So for example, Light from Death Note is still a hero narratively, because he's the protagonist. And
the god of the new world.
Let's go. What makes a hero great? Strife. What is a hero, after all, without conflict? Seeing a hero struggle is an easy way to help the audience connect to our protagonist, because struggle is a fast track to sympathy. When we see these heroes suffer, we witness echoes of our own lives within theirs. Everyone loves a good underdog story, because a lot of people, warranted or not, see themselves as an underdog. Because a core aspect of life is conflict. We don't want to see someone be handed everything, we want to see them claw their way to the top. We draw inspiration from their perseverance, and ultimately learn lessons that we apply to our own personal stories. Now, notice that I'm talking about some amorphous form of triumph. Call that a subsection of this rule of thumb for heroes. Because we do need to witness some sort of shift, whether it be socially, power-wise, or otherwise. Nobody wants to read/watch/hear a story about someone who suffers always, all the time, forever. We want to see a change, however minor, in our hero's narrative. And on that note, let's get into the most common change we see. The hero's journey is the most standard narrative protagonist space. In its most basic form, it has 4 steps. Our hero lives a life that is normal to them, our hero experiences an inciting incident, our hero goes on a journey, our hero comes out of the journey changed. I'm describing this in a manner that makes it seem mundane, but this quote-unquote journey is so broad that it can apply to so many stories across media while still remaining fresh. The power of the hero's journey lies in its mythological status among us, because everyone and their mother likes to think they're on their own hero's journey. So in a way, we live vicariously through these titans of legend. We see ourselves in the humble beginnings, we see ourselves in the strife that embodies the trials undertaken. We dream of the day we emerge on the other side, perfected. Now, what do I think of this particular archetype? For the sake of brevity, let's call them arc heroes. I think they're pretty swell. An arc hero is one that will probably connect with the most amount of audience members for whatever form of media you're writing or consuming. The greatest examples of this are timelessly interesting to study, experiencing a litany of changes, great and small. So we're going to go ahead and put this archetype firmly in the A rank. But what if your hero doesn't change?
Hey, it's me, Goku!
Well, then they're in a flat arc. I use the term flat here, but let's try to ignore the negative connotation with that word and see it from a neutral perspective. Circling back, you'll often notice flat heroes are stagnant as the story progresses. Instead, they tend to alter either the characters or world around them. In a way, that makes these flat heroes more mythic than their arc-bearing siblings, because they tend to embody philosophical concepts more fully, influencing their worlds in ways their counterparts do not. From a meta perspective, flat heroes also lend themselves to more aspirational fan bases. And by that, I mean their fans idolize them more than arc heroes. This is because while arc heroes have flaws they must overcome or lessons they must learn, flat heroes are basically born perfect. They've already reached the end of the journey our arc heroes embark upon, so we rarely see them doubt themselves, fumble, or falter in similar ways. As such, this amplifies the mythology of these heroes and elevates them in the eyes of their fan bases. So, what do we got for flat heroes? Well, I personally don't care for them all that much, but I definitely understand their appeal. From a narrative standpoint, these heroes are pretty boring to discuss. However, at the same time, if they embody ideals well enough, and are shown love by their writers without too much love, flat heroes can be even more inspiring than their arced counterparts. So with that mixed bag of potential and execution, I'm going to toss these bad boys, or good boys, into B rank. But wait, there's a subsection of flat heroes I want to discuss, and that is the cool guy. The cool guy's what he sounds like. Maybe he's suave, maybe he's strong, maybe he's smart, but what's essential is that he's the best at what he does. He's hyper competent, often or always numero uno, and doesn't afraid of anything. These cool guys are always flat heroes, because if you're so tough and perfect, why would you need to change? And as with other flat heroes, they often have fairly avid fan bases that emulate or idolize them. I do not like cool guys. I find them to be narratively boring and find discussing them with fans to be frustratingly unproductive. A lot of these characters flirt with Mary Sue territory by being unstoppable juggernauts that are good at everything, which is fine if that's your taste, but it's not mine. Remember when I said flat heroes inspire their audience more than arc heroes? Well, cool guys can inspire the most, but not in a way I find appealing. Cool guys tend to be fairly narrow in their motivations, characterizations, and even character interactions. And their disciples tend to be not fun. So we're gonna toss this subcategory into D rank and forget about it. If you're a fan of any of these characters in this section, go ahead and defend them if you will. I'm open to discussion. Meanwhile, let's move on to the villain's journey, which is, you guessed it, the inverse of the hero's journey. Here is a story where our best boy takes the wrong path. They succumb to their inner darkness, showing us what not to do. Obviously, these heroes are far less aspirational than either of their peers. Nobody should want to be these guys. However, I cannot deny that these fallen heroes do have fans that support them morally, so that aspect is worth mentioning. I do believe though that the majority of these guys' fans are fans strictly in the narrative sense. But how do I know that? It's not like I know any fans, do I?
Well, of course I know him. He's me.
I find fallen heroes fascinating. I love when a writer is bold enough to make a hero do something that would engender ire from their audience. I spoke in my Ant-Man video about how the MCU is afraid of letting its heroes do bad things, which I hold to. Fallen heroes happen when a writer suffers no such cowardice. You could make arguments that anti-heroes or morally gray ones also fall into this subcategory, and I guess
I'll allow it.
But I'd argue that those characters are either flat heroes if they never change their mind, arc heroes if they see whatever light the writer wants them to, and only fallen heroes if their arcs go a little too far. Now then, let's dive into two quick subcategories here. There are two types of villains' journeys. The first is good becomes bad. That's pretty straightforward. Good guy at the start, bad boy at the end. Easy peasy. Second is bad becomes worse. That is bad guy at the start, worse guy at the end. These can be a little more nuanced than their colleagues. The journey here causes our hero to sink deeper into the negative aspects their character already had, emerging out the other side with said negativity amplified. So, why don't we rank these? Good Boy Gone Bad is gonna get an S rank from yours truly. I love these stories. I love how bold they are, how unapologetic they are about their protagonist, everything about them. If a writer is courageous enough to corrupt their hero, they've earned my respect. As for Bad Boy to Worst Boy, I'll give it a strong B. I struggled with deciding between this and Arc Heroes for the spot of A rank, and decided based on a food analogy. Arc Heroes to me are fruit and veggies. They're tasty, I need them to be healthy, etc, etc. Whereas Bad Becomes Worse stories are like fast food. I don't want them all the time, but I do love having them every now and again. One I can consume back to back to back to back, whereas the other I prefer having breaks between. Anyway, with that delicious analogy completed, we have our beautiful ranking. Look at it.
Look at it! Look at it! Look at it! I want all of you to look at it!
Let me know if you agree, disagree, what your personal ranking is, or if I missed a category entirely. Be sure to like and subscribe too, because I've got plenty more rewrites, essays, fixes, and whatnot coming down the line. And until the next one, cheers.